Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I'm back for another channel update, random topic video. Still should really come up with a better name for this, but anyway, I do these at least usually once a month or so, sometimes a bit more frequently if there are major topics to discuss. But yeah, I usually try to do these at least once a month. And as I usually start these things, I just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel, for supporting my work, whether you've been here for 10 minutes or 10 years, because this thing has been going for quite a while now. It's very much appreciated. I've received some really cool emails and YouTube comments and things on Twitter lately. So, yeah, it's much appreciated, especially with how everyone is seemingly angry at everything these days. You got politics, you've got just people, the internet itself, people just bickering and fighting per usual. So, no, it's stuff like this that is very much appreciated. So, if you are new to the channel, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Sometimes more frequently, if there's maybe a holiday or some very cool gaming announcement, event, or news and accessibility, or anything like that. And, every once in a while, maybe even just because, maybe I'm in a good mood, I've got a day off, and I've got a lot of videos queued up. I don't know, why not a bonus video? But Monday, Wednesday, Saturday is my typical release schedule. I do also have everything divided into playlists, so you should be able to find whatever it is you're looking for. And I do cover a wide variety of content on the channel. There have been times where I have thought about spinning certain things off into separate channels or something, but I'm like, it's hard enough to get to get and maintain viewers for one channel. I think splitting that off into multiple channels would be kind of a bad idea. And I think everything that I do on the Illegally Cited YouTube channel really ties together with blind and low vision accessibility, be it games, technology, VR, um, accessibility in general, just the whole growing up illegally cited, where I talk and answer a lot of people's questions, not just about technology and games, but blindness, myself. I talk about education and employment, other things that are very important to me. And if you haven't checked that playlist out, I definitely recommend it. I wish that playlist would get more views. Like I said, I cover games as I play as a low vision player. I cover games that are accessible to a totally blind audience. Those are the Accessible Game Spotlight series, be it iOS, PC, console. I try to cover a bit of everything. VR accessibility, accessible AI, that's becoming a huge thing in the last year or so. And just like I said, so much more. Assistive technology, iOS games and apps. Um, like I said, assistive technology, uh, podcast presentations and interviews. I've been doing a lot of public speaking over the last several years. So I've kind of compiled a lot of those types of things, guest podcast appearances. So there's a lot to look for under the playlist section. So hopefully you find something that will be entertaining or helpful to you. As far as the channel updates go, things are starting to slow down a little bit. The last few months have been actually just really crazy. It's been busy for me at work. It's been busy for me. I've had some really great consulting opportunities, speaking opportunities, consulting opportunities, just a lot of different cool things happening. A few that I'm not really at liberty to talk about because of NDAs and such, but there's just been a few cool experiences related to tech and gaming accessibility. One that I can talk about now that is publicly has been announced is Site Tech Global is happening on December 4th and 5th. And this is a free virtual conference. They have sessions about all kinds of different topics, technology related, AI and assistive technology, gaming. And this time I am on a panel of, I'm on a panel that is about game accessibility. And it's really, we got a few great panel members, and we've already recorded the session. So look forward to that. You can register again for free. Just look up Site Tech Global. It's been a thing for several years now. And I will be attending virtually myself because I want to see what some of the other sessions are going to be as well. So I've got that. I do have a couple of other podcast appearances, but I won't say any more at this time just because I don't know when exactly they're going to be released. But I know I have two of them at least already recorded. So they will be happening eventually at some point here. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy doing the YouTube stuff. I enjoy doing the videos. I enjoy, guesting on podcasts, doing the consulting work, and all the stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, it's keeping really busy. Lots of games that I still want to cover. There's games that I've already covered on the channel that I want to get back to and just play on my own. I've just got this backlog, this pile of shame that I don't know when I'm going to get around to playing everything that I want to play. Um, but yes, I do have a few more games coming, as far as like blind accessible games, several low vision spotlight series or demo video, game demo time videos. And who knows what else? I suppose in the next few weeks, I really have to start thinking about doing the usual end of year style videos. Kind of I like to try to do highlight videos, some of my mainstream highlights, my accessible highlights, and a few other odds and ends. So this year I've actually been, rather than trying to go back and figure it all out later at the end of the year, I've been kind of writing down little lists of like, oh, these are some of the low vision games I've played this year. These are some of the totally blind accessible games I've played this year. And that's going to be very, very helpful. It's going to make my life a lot easier in a few weeks here. So look forward to all that stuff and more. I did check out, I I did look the other day just out of sheer curiosity, and the channel is right at 4,333 subscribers. Be kind of cool if we could get to 4,500 by the end of the year. I don't know. That's a little ways to go, but I think we could probably maybe get there if we share the channel and people get to see it through LinkedIn or through Site Tech Global or any other things that I've been doing lately. So yeah, again, very much appreciated everyone supporting the channel. So that's kind of what's been going on. That's update on the channel. Lots of new stuff to come. Things are not going to be slowing down. Lots of videos already recorded. Lots to do yet. So there's plenty more to come. Yeah, yeah, and thankfully everything is okay. But man, I had a scare yesterday. I was doing some video driver updates, and they switched from the GeForce Experience app to the new NVIDIA app, which worked fine. But then I went to update my video drivers and seemed to go okay. Usually it just takes a couple minutes and it updates the drivers. Your monitor kind of flashes off for a second, turns back on when it resets, and boom, you're good to go. Well, I installed the drivers yesterday and got up to get a drink of water while I was waiting, came back, and oh, the screen had kind of just turned to this. You could tell it was on, but it was just like a black screen. I'm like, oh, that can't be good. Usually it just blinks off and then back on again. And waited for a few minutes, nothing happened. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I tried NVDA, didn't hear anything. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened. Ended up turning my computer off, turn it back on, and thankfully, knock on wood, things are seemingly back to normal. It seems like my drivers have been updated and things have been running good ever since. And I pray that is the case because I absolutely love this machine. It has been running, it's stable, it's been running stably, it's been running just lightning fast. Um, I absolutely love it, so I just pray that it continues to do so. But yeah, so got through that scare, and there we go. So I talked about SiteTech Global. A few other topics I want to talk about today. A few things related to the Game Awards. So they are going to have the Game Awards on, I believe it's December 12th. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so yesterday they released the nominees for all of the categories for the Game Awards. And, I don't know. I mean, there were a couple surprises, but honestly, not too much and not too many that I really cared about this year. Um, there's been a lot of hubbub for a few different things for the Game Awards. I mean, for Game of the Year, I don't even have that list pulled up right now, but like the, you've got Balatro, which is a great thing. Like, it's great to see an indie game like that get all that attention because it is well deserved. I mean, you couldn't go probably half a year, the half of this year, podcasts and videos and things. Everybody was talking about Balatro. I played the hell out of Balatro for a long time, and I come back to it fairly regularly. It's now on mobile as well. I don't believe that it is voiceover accessible, unfortunately. But I do still have to check out. I'm kind of waiting for the mod to be fully developed, or at least in a really good spot, before I cover it. But Balatro is getting there's an accessibility mod out there already in development for it, so that's great. But one of the things that people are really complaining about is that Elden Ring um, came out last year, but I can't even remember what it's called, something about Earth Tree or something. The expansion for it had come out this year, and it was a huge expansion, I guess. Like, I tried Elden Ring last year, kind of was terrible at it, and I just could not really get into it, so it's not something that I really follow that much. But you get some people who are like, well, it's a fully meaty expansion, and it's, came out this year, it's eligible. And then you have some other people saying, well, it's DLC. The game came out last year. We should get actual full games that came out this year, give them the attention. And I can see both sides. I mean, this is a major expansion, and there are games that are smaller than this expansion, so I get that aspect of it. But at the same time, I also I get that it's like, hey, this game came out last year, and I think what they really should do is I would be totally fine with like have a DLC category, DLC of the year. And that would absolutely be a great place for this Elden Ring expansion. Because, there's one of the categories is best ongoing game. So, a game that's being supported like Diablo or No Man's Sky or any of these live service games that you play, Fortnite, whatever. Um, you have categories for that. So I would just add a DLC category and then have Game of the Year be like a full game. That's probably the way that I would do it. I don't necessarily care either way. Like I said, I see both sides to it, but that's probably what I would do to give the new games a bit more of a chance because they only give you five nominees anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. So there's that. And then I don't remember if the Diablo 4 expansion made it in the top tier. I can't remember if it did or didn't. But mainly people are having problems with the Elden Ring DLC, making it for the major game of the year category. But what I do want to talk about in a few different ways is the innovation in accessibility category. And just a kind of a disclaimer, since this award has been happening since 2020, I have been on the jury for not the entire Game Awards voting, but for the innovation in accessibility category specifically. And I do have to commend Jeff for reaching out to the accessibility and disability community for this specific category because rather than having your mainstream gaming press or whomever who may not be really all that qualified to make those nominations, um, instead he reached out to people in the community like myself and many others, people with all kinds of different disabilities and such. And, we are the ones that initially get to nominate games for this category. And, I do take that seriously. So yeah, I mean, I think I should be able to announce this because I literally looked on the Game Awards website and it showed there's a page, it's buried, but if you go under the FAQ and there's a question about like, oh, um, who makes the nominees for the Game Awards, and then you go to there and there's a link to a page where you get all the mainstream press for all the other categories, and then under the innovation and accessibility category, we are all listed there, and there's a bunch of us in there. So I figure if it's publicly available, I should be able to talk about it. Um, but yeah, and I saw just the dumbest couple of tweets this morning. And I'm not gonna call out any names or anything, but I'm like, wow. There was somebody that was saying that like, oh, basically this category was a sham, and all it does is it's supposed to be for games that include things for colorblind and control remapping and stuff, but all it is just a woke, a category to recognize woke in games. I'm like, that is the worst take I've heard in a long time. And then Ian Hamilton, big shout out to him, replies with the cool thing is the Game Awards actually has a page devoted to the innovation in accessibility category. I don't know if they had that the previous years, but this year I know they do, where they have a list of criteria as to how these games meet the innovation and accessibility category. Like, what did they offer to be represented in this category? And it's like, no, just look at this, read this link. This explains it. And they still insist, no, no, it's just woke and no, it's stupid. And it was a very intriguing conversation, but at the same time, very disappointing conversation because, like I said, it was just one of the worst takes I've seen. And even I'm like, dude, read the article. Like, I know for a fact, I know a lot of these people that are on, just looking at the names on that webpage. I know a lot of the people either in person or I've talked to a lot of them on social media or have worked with them in consulting projects or something in the past. So, yeah, no, it's definitely people with disabilities who are judging that category, nominating for that category, and it is based on accessibility. Um, so that was enlightening thing to wake up to this morning. Sarcasm. But then the other thing that I've been seeing a fair bit is, and I get it, but so let's go ahead and I have the list of nominees for the innovation and accessibility category. We have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, because they had that expansion. So that's another one where, people, I guess, haven't been complaining about that because, oh, they don't care about accessibility. Otherwise, people would be all upset about that too. Dragon Age Veilguard, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws. And all of those, I'm kind of disappointed that all of these are AAA games. I won't tell you what I personally put in for my nominations, but I did have a good mixture of a couple AAA and a couple of indie games. And one complaint that I've been hearing a lot the last couple days now is that there's, oh, how are all these games listed for accessibility? Because hardly any of them are accessible to blind players. And to a large extent, yes, you are correct. 2024 has not been such a great year for games that are accessible to totally blind players. And that is disappointing because even a lot of the features that help totally blind players also very, very much help legally blind or low vision players like myself. I've come to rely a lot on menu narration, audio cues, navigation assist, all kinds of these different things. They are just as helpful for me in a lot of cases. But what you have to remember is that a lot of these games, and I've covered every one of them on my channel except for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I haven't covered that one yet. But, all of these other games do have a wide variety of accessibility features and gameplay considerations. So you have to remember that, yes, it does suck that other than like Diablo 4, which is mostly, except for maybe the dungeons are a little bit iffy because of the lack of navigation right now. But I mean, Diablo 4 is quite accessible to blind players. But other than that, the other ones, yes, I would say that you do need some usable vision to be able to largely play them. Um, but you have to remember, there's more to accessibility than blindness. And a lot of these games, as I covered on the channel, there's a lot of different accessibility features for low vision, for motor or cognitive or hearing, or any number of different things. Like there's all kinds of stuff, and they've had you really, some of these games have had some unique accessibility features that no other games have done. You get little bits and pieces here that, oh, we're building on what this game offered, and we're adding this new piece to it. So unfortunately, some of these games are not going to be independently fully playable by blind players. A lot of the accessibility design considerations and options that are included will actually help a lot of people be able to play these games. So, yes, I definitely hope that next year we get a pickup again and we get more games that blind players can play. I absolutely hope for that. That would be fantastic. But that's just kind of where we are this year. And unfortunately, a couple of smaller games like Periphery Synthetic or Doncaster or I'm trying to think of A couple other ones. I mean, there's been a couple of other ones this year, but not near as much as last year. But that's really what I wanted to say about the innovation and accessibility category. That, for the people that are doubting, oh, it's just a bunch of mainstream press who know nothing about accessibility. No, that is not who is nominating for that category. There are disabled advocates, consultants, content creators, and gamers who are nominating for the innovation and accessibility category. And I have been one of them since this particular award has started, and I do take it seriously, and I do take into consideration more than just blind and visually impaired, although I might be a tad biased if something does really, really well for that. But I try to, again, acknowledge all types of accessibility. Maybe they did something really, really awesome that never has been done for deaf accessibility or mobility accessibility, whatever it is. So that's what I wanted to mention about that. And while we're on the topic of kind of a PSA type of spiel for accessibility, I also want to talk about, I shouldn't have to mention this again because I've said it before. I'll probably have to say it again. Other people have said it how many times. I've seen a lot of, I haven't even seen all the full conversations, but I've seen some of the impact from it, and I've seen some of the conversations since it happened. But over the past week or so, I've been seeing a lot more, again, blind and low vision players get really upset about the lack of accessibility in certain game announcements. And again, I totally like I get it. It sucks because there are games that I would love to play that I would either have very, very much trouble playing or almost find impossible to play, even with the vision that I have. But the big example that I use is within the last week and a half or so, Atom Fall released an updated blog post. They'd announced accessibility earlier on, but within the last week or so, they also announced more of a uh, definitive list of accessibility features that were coming to the game. This is a game that's coming to Xbox and PC sometime early next year. I don't know if we have a date for it yet. But it's really kind of a cool looking game. It's kind of got this like Fallout sort of vibe to it. I'm pretty intrigued about it. And I think with the accessibility features that are there, it would be a game that I would hopefully be able to play. I still have a few areas where I'm like, I wonder how easy this is going to be. But I think it would be something that I could play. So there's a couple things that I want to, call out about this is that, first, it's awesome to see, like, this game isn't coming out until, like, for at least, what, 2, 3, 4 months, maybe? And we already know what accessibility features are going to be in at launch. And we also know one of the great things that I noticed is at the end of their post, they said, hey, these are the accessibility features in the game. We would have loved to do more, but at this time, these are the features that we didn't have the time or resources to be able to implement right now. And I don't know if they will be added post-launch, but kind of by their message, it sounded like maybe don't hold your breath. They may not be able to get to it for this game, but see, here's the thing. They announced all these accessibility features and they announced what would not be in there. But the fact that they announced that these other features will not be there, they still know about them. They still know because they said, unfortunately, menu narration and audio navigation assist for blind users are two features that are not going to make it into the game, at least at this time. And that really sucks because, yeah, it would have been great. I would have absolutely made use of all of those features. Even as a low vision player, I gladly would have. And it sucks that, again, it's going to be one of these games where you're going to need likely some sighted assistance in order to be able to play the game if you are blind. But I appreciate the fact that they were upfront about it because a lot of the other announcements have been these are the features that are in the game. And then you're kind of left to go, well, they said these, and at least they're no acknowledging accessibility, but are they going to add these other ones? Are they going to be in there at launch, or are they going to add them later? But other developers really haven't said these are the features that we just couldn't. I know these are commonly requested features, but we just can't implement them right now. And I appreciate that the developers of Atomfall let us know. But like I said, they know that these features are requested. They know about them, so going forward in their future projects, okay, now that they understand how to implement the features they have for Atomfall, when they build their next game, well, now it's not going to be as hard to figure those out, and they would be able to implement them a bit easier. Now, the next game, they probably could tackle menu narration or some sort of audio navigation assist. Maybe some other games will come out in the meantime that has gameplay similar to what they're developing, and so maybe they can learn from them and go, oh, well, we didn't know how to do that type of navigation assist for this type of open world mission in our game, but now that we've seen that it's possible in this other one, now we sort of have an idea on how to do it better. So those are plausible things that could totally be the case. So the fact that they know about it, they acknowledge it, and they let us know, I have to give a kudos to the developer for reaching out and letting us know early what accessibility features both will and won't be in the game. Both are equally valuable to know. And yes, I understand that it is frustrating. I agree that it is frustrating, especially with, again, 2024 being a year that we don't have a lot of accessible games for blind players. But the whole kind of PSA here is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, don't be a dick. It's totally fine to reach out to the developer and ask if a certain type of accessibility feature is in the game or will be in the game or will be added post-launch. And it's perfectly fine to post on social media that you are disappointed that a game isn't going to include said features like navigation assist, audio navigation assist, and menu narration. When they announced it, I retweeted it and I congratulated them on the accessibility features and for letting us know ahead of time. But I did also say that yes, I was disappointed that audio navigation and menu narration wouldn't be in the game because even as a low vision player, these are features that I would absolutely find helpful. And that's totally fine to do. But going off and, yelling at the developer or, posting hateful posts or, blaming them and saying, oh, you don't care about accessibility, just being rude and all that kind of crap that you typically see. That's not doing us any good, Again, if I was a developer, whether I was an app developer, tech hardware developer, game developer, if I had part of my audience that was regularly communicating with me in that way, saying that that the just getting all these hate mail and hateful posts on social media, um, it would really do is make me less likely to listen to them. It would make me less likely to acknowledge them as like, well, is all my time and effort worth putting into for this hateful part of my audience? And you may have people in, let's say, a game development studio that you have some people that are advocating for accessibility, and they're trying the best they can. But again, there are development resources, and you know, they got to make money, and whether it's accessibility or something completely different, sometimes management makes the call and says, no, this is what you're doing, this is what we're concentrating on, and a lot of things get left on the cutting room floor. And the problem with emails and social media posts and stuff like that that are so rude and hateful, maybe the management sees that. You have the people that in the studio that are advocating for accessibility, but then upper management starts to see some of these things filter in because they see the posts that are addressed to their game company on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, and they go, well, God, why are we even doing accessibility? Why are we wasting so many resources developing accessibility for our games if we're developing for look at all these people. um they're looking at these social media posts and like, well, we just got a bunch of these whiny, complainy, hateful people posting. Why do we want to listen to them? We could better allocate our resources somewhere else. Because these types of things do have repercussions. It's totally fine to offer suggestions like, hey, I see you didn't have this accessibility feature. Maybe I can point you to a resource of how to implement that feature. Or here are some games in a similar genre that have done it or done something similar. Be constructive. Offer. So even if they can't do it for this game, maybe it's a developer that develops a certain type of game, a first-person shooter, a puzzle game. That's what they're known for, role-playing game. So um, just it all comes down to basically the one thing: don't be a dick. Um, be constructive. It's totally fine to say that you're disappointed. But half these rage, like again, this internet rage that's happening, whether it's gaming or politics or this whole woke and cancel culture thing, I'm so freaking over all of it. I'm done. I'm so over all of it. And so, if you want games to continue to be improved and made accessible, maybe think about that a little bit. I've said it, other people have said it, we'll probably have to say it again. But I will get off that soapbox for now. That's really what I wanted to say about that. The other thing about the Game Awards that I wanted to talk a little bit about was um, there's been this whole spiel about there's the Game Awards that are happening, the Jeff Keighley event that happens every year. And there has been this new Game Awards thing being announced fairly recently. It's called the Real Game Awards. And to give you a little background, it's run by largely, there's a guy that I've kind of followed off and on over the years. There was a website many years ago called screwattack.com, which was named after one of the abilities that you get in Metroid. as Samus Aran. It's this really cool. The screw attack is this cool spin attack when you're in midair. You roll up into a ball in midair and you just kind of like slice through enemies. It's a great attack. It's a great ability. But yeah, that's what they named the website Screw Attack, and they were known for. They would partner with small video creators, as kind of right around when YouTube was getting going. But the Angry Video Game Nerd was there for a while before. I think they went there and then they went to Game Trailers or vice versa. I forget how it worked. But AVGN was there. A bunch of other video creators were there for a while. Now, Screw Attack shut down, I don't remember when, a little while ago. And then he was part of this, he went by Stuttering Craig. That was the main guy behind a lot of this stuff. And there were other people in it. But then he was part of the Side Scrollers podcast. There was an audio podcast. I would check into it from time to time. Didn't follow it religiously or anything, but I would follow it on occasion. And now they have this Side Scrollers video show. I don't even know if there's an audio version of it or not in regular RSS feeds or podcast feeds, but I've seen some of their videos pop up in my YouTube feed, and I'm not going to just call out him, but the reason this ties into the Game Awards is because they are the ones that are behind the real Game Awards. And so there's a couple more other layers to this, where within the last few days, apparently Jeff Keighley has wanted to seemingly trademark the Game Awards so that people couldn't use the Game Awards for their shows. So you would have to call it something like totally different. And I do have a problem with that for sure, to a degree, because, something like illegally cited, that's a very kind of a unique phrasing for something. Illegally cited, that's not going to come up in regular conversation. But Game of the Year, Game Awards, not the Game Awards, but everybody has, GameSpot, IGN, every little, website or YouTube channel or podcast, Giant Bomb, all of them are going to have their own sort of take on Game of the Year. They may not call it exactly Game of the Year or Game Awards. They may give it a unique name, but I don't agree with like copywriting or trademarking something that is really, really generically named the Game Awards. That just, I don't know. I don't like that because again, they're such generic words that are put together. I'm trying to think of another example of like, I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but if you have something unique like Screw Attack, well, they would get in trouble because Nintendo really has that as the name of their ability for their character. But like, like I said, illegally cited, Giant Bomb, GameSpot. Those are, GameSpot may be a little whatever. But anyway, you get my point. So I hope that doesn't happen because, there are definitely things about the way the Game Awards is run that I don't agree with. Yes, I'm a tiny part of the Game Awards because I'm part of the nomination team for the Innovation and Accessibility Award. But as I've talked about in previous years' videos about the Game Awards, there are things that I don't agree with. There needs to be a better balance between the awards and the new game announcements. Like, that's fine to have some of that stuff there, but it seems like it's like 85% game announcements and 15% actual awards show. Hell, the Innovation and Accessibility category last year was actually on the pre-show I would have totally missed it if I didn't have the pre-show on. And again, that's one thing that I would love to see the Game Awards do is I would love to see them put the innovation and accessibility category into the main awards show. I mean, yes, selfishly, I would love to see it just because I would love to see it, but no, I think that would actually serve a good purpose because again, the game industry is in a real bad spot right now. You got layoffs and closures and all kinds of crap happening, games getting canceled, um, all this stuff happening. And I think that the Game Awards, if you want to celebrate the gaming industry and kind of brush under the rug and not really acknowledge all this stuff that has been going on, other than maybe a quick sentence at the beginning like he did last year, at the very least, maybe acknowledge some positive things that are happening in the industry, like improved accessibility, inclusion for more, so the more players can play these games. So that would, not only bring attention to accessibility and something positive happening in the game industry, but if they go, oh, you might get some other indie developer or AAA developer or something seeing these awards and go, oh, wait a minute. Wait, this type of game is accessible to people with disabilities, blind people, deaf people, whatever. And then that could get them interested in doing something and adding more accessibility going forward. So there is benefit to doing that. And the other thing that a lot of people are, I would say, rightfully kind of pissed about is I can't even remember the number. It was like, what was it, like 250,000 or 500,000? It was some ungodly amount to show a trailer during the Game Awards. It was at least, I want to say at least 250,000 or something like that to show a trailer for the Game Awards. And that's insane. So of course, you're not going to have your little indie, mom and pop studio solo developer um, be able to do that. Um, and so, like, I get the idea of having more of a, rather than having industry professionals, industry-led, game journalism, largely game journalists, people that are nominating for all these awards. I get having a show that is more actual gamer-centric focused. Nominees nominated and voted on by gamers. That makes sense to me because it's not, the whole spiel behind the Game Awards is they're trying to legitimize it to be like your Hollywood um, big kind of gala event, which sure, if that's the route you want to go for, I much prefer things like, Realms Deep, or again, a huge shout out to Zlim Bratsky, who did the Boomer Shooter showcase this summer on I think it's the 14th, December 14th. He's going to be doing kind of a brutal games slash Boomer Shooters end of the year show, awards show. So they're going to have that. And people can vote on that. All they have to do is go to his Discord, sign up for his Discord, join that, and then they can join in on the voting there. But the real Game Awards, this whole thing run by side scrollers, is you have to, like, they say it's, buy and for gamers and whatever, and you have to pay to get in because they don't want people doing a bunch of duplicate votes and they don't want to have bots. I get that you don't want to have bots and stuff. I get that. You don't want to run into things like, your Steam review bombing when people get mad about something. I get that. But I don't think you should have to pay to vote for a Game Awards show. Hell, we don't pay to vote for, our country and state elections. I don't think we need to be, I don't think we should have to pay to vote for a Game Awards show. That just doesn't seem right. Now, could you have, again, just like Slim does, like, could you have something where, okay, you have to join, you have to do some little thing that requires a little bit of effort to kind of prove that you're not a bot. Um, and maybe it's not shown publicly, but maybe you fill out a Google form or something that only accepts, like, you have to have a Gmail address or something, or you have to have a proper email address that's not shared publicly. But maybe, it's like, oh, we only accept, one from, however you want to do it. I mean, it's not foolproof, but it at least gets by some of the problems. Um, but the whole other thing, I'm so tired of, kind of getting back to people being rude about accessibility there. There's, I think I talked about it in one of the other recent channel update videos where I'm just so tired of all these sensationalist, over dramatized, making a mountain from a molehill, as they say. Just making every little thing a controversy, making every little thing a big deal. And it all comes, like, a lot of it comes down to woke, or I've really grown to hate that word, because then you get the side, you get the one side that says everything is woke, and then you get the other side that wants inclusion, or but then they're just so, both sides are so adversarial that I'm just I'm just so tired of it. And every time a new game comes out, there has to be some kind of we got to make up some sort of controversy about it. We can't just let it be a thing. Um, every little game comes out now, or now every, like, the Game Awards. Oh, we got to make sure there's some controversy around this. We got to, fire up about Elden Ring, or we got to fire up about DLC, or we got to fire up about, whatever. Again, that weird take about the innovation and accessibility category being all about woke, which is just stupid. But I'm just so tired of it. And it's channels like these side scrollers and many others that just feed on, because, oh, that's apparently what gets clicks, and it's all about them, the monetization, it's all about the algorithm, it's all about getting paid. Um, and that's what seems to get clicks. All these clickbait and rage and controversy stuff. And I just want to learn about cool games. Like, if I want to go to a YouTube channel, like, yes, you can cover negative things that are happening. It's important to know these things. When companies are laying off people, or if something really is broken when a game releases or something like that, that's important to know. But at the same time, everything gets blown so much out of proportion that I can't stand it. And the way that they're marketing this, the real Game Awards, they're calling out Jeff specifically and the Game Awards specifically, and this is garbage, and this is the real Game Awards, and I don't necessarily care that you call it the real Game Awards. If that's what you want to call it, fine. But again, just being so damn, like, you can have your award show, I can have mine, they can have theirs. Who cares? It's just it doesn't matter. Everyone is going to have their opinion on what their game of the year is anyway. It's like, if you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, don't. Either way, I just wish that more developers were given recognition as an award show. And like I said, the Game Awards, I just wish that it was an award show, and having a few trailers instead of a new trailer show that happens to have a couple of Game Awards announced in it. But anyway, I've rambled long enough about that. I do want to end on a couple of positive notes here really quick. We have a couple of recent anniversaries and some good ones. Because in the last week, we've had 2 Valve anniversaries. Half-Life 2 is now 20 years old, if you can believe it or not. God, I'm old. And Left 4 Dead 2 is 15 years old. And I do want to comment on these a little bit just because both of these games are amazing, and what they've done for the industry, and I've really enjoyed them. Like Half-Life 2, people take for granted what's in a lot of these modern video games today. You know, scripted sequences in games where maybe you don't have a cutscene, but things are happening around you, and you can choose what you want to look at or how you want to play through it. Half-Life 1 and 2, they were the first game, some of the first games that really did that well. There was probably games that did it a little bit before then, but those Half-Life 1 and 2 were the games that really stood out to do that type of thing in a polished way. Like, I just remember the original Half-Life, you didn't get a gun until like 20 minutes or better through the game. You took the tram ride. Then you walked around the hallways of the Black Mesa facility and talking to scientists for a little bit. Half-Life 2, you were in City 17, getting off the train there, seeing all the oppression and what the Combine were doing to the people. And again, you didn't get a weapon until a fair few minutes into the game. You were building the atmosphere. You were building up the story a little bit, introducing a few characters. So, yeah, and then you had things like, physics, like Half-Life 2, what they did for physics puzzles, just the fact of like, bodies would kind of roll downstairs when you killed them, or, you blew them up, they would go flying or whatever. They had whole physics puzzles, where you had to put bricks on a seesaw to weigh it down so you could actually climb up, or use water and buoyant objects like these barrels to, again, put under this ramp, so you'd be able to raise the ramp up, and then drive your little hoverboat, your airboat, and fly off the ramp. I mean, there were physics stuff everywhere in that game, and when we saw it for the first time, it kind of blew us away. The gravity gun itself was super, super cool. I wish more games would. Like, even if you didn't have as many guns, like I would love to play a smaller, focused game that was kind of focused on using, like, you go through an environment, and you have to use the objects in the environment as maybe as cover, as platforms, as weapons. The gravity gun just did all kinds of cool, fun stuff. Um, Really cool game. I have a lot of great memories playing Half-Life 2, playing through the single player campaign. I lived in my first apartment back when that came out, and my friend and I would play. Both played the single player campaign, but then we played the Half-Life 2 deathmatch. We played Half-Life 1 and 2 deathmatch, actually. The first game we would play Crossfire and the warehouse level and those damn satchel charges and everything. But Half-Life 2, yeah, we would play deathmatch and stuff, but like, I remember we had a LAN party one year at the college, and so a bunch of us had our computers in there. And there was this one map where it was just this small square arena. There was like a statue or something in the middle, but otherwise it was just this flat square arena that was walled off, and it had a bunch of saw blades on the ground. And you would spawn in with just the gravity gun, and you can imagine what would ensue. You grabbed the saw blades and hucked them at everybody else, and you were trying to dodge and fling saw blades around to kill everybody. It was chaos, and it was great. I loved it. But then we would do other fun things. My friend and I, we would play Half-Life Deathmatch, and I remember it was like the Nova Prospect level where you had all this rubble and stuff in that kind of jail area. You were flinging things around. We were, grabbing like toilets off the wall and flinging them to kill people or stuff like that. Or even doing things like, and then just doing not deathmatch things necessarily, but being in a level and taking a car, your gravity gun wasn't strong enough to pick it up, but you could kind of push it or fling it forward. And so like he would be on one side, I would be on the other side, and we'd be like doing this like reverse tug of war. We were trying to push and bash the car into the other player to see if it would crush the other player. Just stupid stuff like that. Or, skeet shooting. One person had this rocket launcher, and when you aim the rocket launcher in Half-Life 2, you once the rocket was launched, like you could aim, and it would kind of follow your little laser dot, and so you could literally guide the rocket. And so one of us would be with the rocket launcher, one of us would have the gravity gun, and we'd be like, pull. And then one of us would shoot an object into the air, and the other one would see if they could aim this clunky rocket and try to blast it out of the air before it landed. Just stupid fun stuff like that. It was fun. A lot of great memories playing Half-Life 2. But Valve has updated Half-Life 2 for the 20th anniversary. All of Half-Life 2 is now in one game file. It's kind of just like how they consolidated Doom and Doom 2 earlier this year. They have Half-Life 2, and then Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2 all in one thing. You don't have to install each one of those separately. There's additional fixes and graphic improvements. There's a new audio commentary track throughout the game, which I'm very interested in. And then they partnered with NoClip, and they did a documentary. What was it, about an hour and a half-ish or so, somewhere around there. They released a documentary on that, which was actually really interesting to watch. And they did talk about the elusive Half-Life 3 or Half-Life Episode 3, showed some unreleased, footage that they've been working on for the game. They were working on it for a while. But one thing I remember from the documentary where I was sort of disappointed, I'm like, oh, Gabe. Gabe knew it was the head of Valve. He's like, well, we thought about releasing a Half-Life Episode 3, but we wanted to have a major technology upgrade to go along with it. We thought that if we just released the story, that would have been kind of a cop-out, and people wouldn't have liked it. And no, we have to have a technology breakthrough to be able to do that. And I'm thinking, I see where you're coming from, because when you did Half-Life, you did Half-Life 2, you did Left 4 Dead. Yeah, you had some pretty cool technology behind it, but no, man, I think especially with Half-Life Episode 3, we wanted closure to that story. We wanted a resolution to that story. If you look up the ending for Half-Life 2 Episode 2, it ends on a very bleak cliffhanger ending, and we definitely needed to know what was going on after that. Just a really brutal ending to Episode 2. So no, I think if you took the extra time, took maybe a year or two beyond when Half-Life 2 Episode 2 was released, no, I think that could have worked really well. Just, give us the rest of that story arc. That would have been great. And we still to this day, 20 years later, have no idea. Well, probably like 17, 18 years since Episode 2 came out, but no, we've never had a resolution to what happened with that story arc. So, will we ever? Who knows? But finally, Left 4 Dead 2, 15-year anniversary. Man, I love Half-Life and Half-Life 2, but Left 4 Dead 2 is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. Doom is still my favorite, I think, but Left 4 Dead 2 has got to be in my top 3, if not top 5 games of all time. I didn't think that it was a game I was originally going to be able to play, because I saw the footage of it and it's like, oh, it's all co-op based and you got to work together and help each other if someone gets downed or whatever. But there were so many, there weren't really many, if any, accessibility features in that game. But this is a great example of accessible game design, because they didn't have, a lot of these features that we would have in an accessible game today, but there were so many things that helped me as a low vision player play that game. You had the outlines for the your ally characters. You had they were blue when they were fine, they were yellow when they were in some kind of danger, and when they were really getting wrecked or they were compromised by a special infected or something, they'd be red. Your ammunition and objects and ammo all had the outlines in it. And then you had all the audio cues where if you paid attention, again, think about when Riley was up here. She would watch my videos of me playing Left 4 Dead before we were going out. And like you knew exactly just by some subtle sound effects, by the musical cues, you would hear, oh, there's a smoker, there's a boomer, there's a hunter, there's a witch. You knew exactly what was happening. And that was, again, now it had nothing to do with like extra audio cues for accessibility. That was just narratively designed into the game so that everyone would be able to take advantage of that. And that is such a great design. And that's why it's such a damn shame, especially now that the industry is starting to openly recognize accessibility. Good God, man, if they could make a Left 4 Dead 3 carry over all of the visual and audio cues that were in the original two games, and if they were to add some of these other accessibility features that have been in some of these more recent games, you combine their overall game design philosophy and accessibility and add some of these layer some of these other accessibility features on top of it, menu narration, some extra navigational assist things. Left 4 Dead could be an amazing single player co-op shooter. That could be incredible. But they just haven't made games like that in a while. Now they're all on Dota and whatever this other multiplayer thing is that I don't remember the name of. And I'm like, it's so sad because, I mean, not only for the accessibility of it, but like, I just have so many fun memories playing Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, especially 2. My friend Chris and I, when both those games came out, we played the ever-loving hell out of them for years. When I lived in Florida, when I came up here, we played them for quite a while. We'd play the campaigns over and over again. And the cool thing about the campaigns is that they were variations. You had different pathways that you would sometimes go down. Every time there were different enemy placements, power-up placements, ammo placements. And it wasn't necessarily the story of the campaign. It was always the emergent gameplay story of like, oh, well, this time we were running down this alleyway and my friend got downed and he just, I was going to try to help him up, but he's like, no, just we're so close to the exit, the safe room, just go. And so I ran up the stairs and jumped through the window, ran across the boards and the rooftops, and I heard zombies behind me, and my friend was spectating, and he's like, they're right on you, they're right behind you, and I ran into the safe room and slammed the door, and he's like, dude, you barely made it. Or the time, it's like, oh, I got punted off my friend got punted off of the dock or the building and flew literally out of bounds because he got punted off by a tank. Or the time that a charger came and just blasted me through a window and both of us came flying off of the tower in that fire level of God, I can't even remember the name of the campaign. The first level of Left 4 Dead 2. Just so many, it just stories through the gameplay itself. How many stories were in the Dark Carnival levels, whether you were running on the roller coaster or the band at the end, the finale at the end with the rock show. So many fun memories. And then when Riley was up here, and that was a game that she watched me play on the channel, and then we streamed it several times. Doom and Left 4 Dead 2 were a couple of her favorite games, and a lot of fun memories there, and what those games had done for her. So yeah, I mean, it is just a shame that Valve hasn't come back. We really need to get them back into school and learn how to count to 3 again. There's no Half-Life 3, there's no Portal 3, there's no Left 4 Dead 3. They get to 2, and it's been long enough that we haven't had a game in any of these series for a while, and I guarantee people would love to play them again. Because we've had games since. We've had things like Back 4 Blood, which I was very much looking forward to, but it just didn't have. It was absolutely missing some secret sauce that the Left 4 Dead games had. The closest things that I can really think of that really kind of did the trick for me was the Warhammer games, End Times Vermintide and Vermintide 2. They were really fun, and I absolutely played and enjoyed those. But even then, like I said, Left 4 Dead 2 still had something that even those games didn't have. I still love the Vermintide games, but I just wanted to chat a little bit, again, end on a more positive note. Happy anniversary to both Half-Life 2 and Left 4 Dead 2, because 20th anniversary, 15th anniversary. God, I can't believe it's been that long. I'm so old. I feel so old. But yeah, I just wanted to chat a little bit about those, and really, really, really hope that Valve really considers a sequel. We got Source 2 now. Give us a Left 4 Dead 3. Please, please give us a Left 4 Dead 3, and add some accessibility features to your already great game design. They could do such an amazing thing if they did. And that's where we're going to leave it. I've rambled enough. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and of course, right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.